If you want to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. Three men have been arrested by authorities in Colorado for allegedly throwing large landscape rocks at motorists, including one that took the life of a driver, Alexa Bartel, age 20, just last week outside of Denver. The suspects, Joseph Koenig, Nicholas Mitch Carlo Chick, and Zachary Kowak, all 18-year-old high school seniors, were taken into custody at their parents' homes in Arvado, Colorado. According to police, six motorists in the greater Denver area reported on the evening of April 19th that rocks had been thrown at their cars. Two of the drivers suffered minor injuries. Around 10:45 p.m., Bartel was driving along a road in Jefferson County when a large rock went through her front windshield, hitting and taking her life. A friend who was on the phone with her at around the time became concerned when the line dropped. The friend tracked her phone to a field where Bartel was later found. The sheriff's office stated that mobile device forensics and information from the public helped lead to the arrest. It's unclear which of the suspects threw the rock that took the life of Bartel, but all three are suspected of throwing rocks during the hour-long spree. The three suspects in Colorado are facing charges of first-degree murder, extreme indifference, also adding that additional charges are expected to be filed. They are due later back in court on Thursday. Nathan Tipton, a Lyft and Uber driver who was one of the uninjured motorists in the alleged rock-throwing spree, expressed shock over Bartel's death. Quote, "When I found out that the series of events actually took the young lady's life, I feel for Alexa and her family. It put me in a bit of shock. Nobody should lose their child for a random act. It's heartbreaking." Just to let you know how dangerous this is, they listed a few more incidences. Back in 2019, Keila Flores, a 33-year-old mother of three, had her life taken when a large rock thrown from a railroad overpass in Temple, Texas, crashed into the windshield of her car she and her family were traveling in. Flores was in the passenger seat. In 2018, Joe Shelton, age 45, had his life taken when a large chunk of concrete thrown from a bridge crashed through the windshield as he was driving to work in Nashville. 2017, Keith White, a 32-year-old father, had his life taken when a large rock thrown from a highway overpass in Genesee County, Michigan, went through the windshield of a van he was traveling in. White was in the passenger seat. Four teenagers later admitted to throwing the rocks from an overpass in a game they called overpassing and were sentenced to prison as adults. That exact same year, Marquise Bird, age 22, had his life taken when a sandbag thrown from an overpass in Toledo, Ohio, smashed through the windshield of his vehicle that he was traveling in. Four teens later pled guilty in juvenile court to charges of murder, manslaughter, and vehicular vandalism, but did not serve jail time. That's a crazy chain of events. Like I said, my condolences to the family. Things like this should not happen just because people want to decide to do some random acts because they're bored or whatever's going through, um, their minds at the moment. Um, at one point in time, one of the stories that I read off to you that took place in Michigan, that had me pretty much worried about my family driving because this was a thing that was taking place and people were scared at the time because they didn't know what was going to happen. Because a lot of times you're going, on the road and you see these freeway overpasses and some of which are open and some of which aren't. Some people might know what I'm talking about, where if you look over some of the overpasses, they have a fence that goes all the way around. And that was to stop a multitude of things from taking place. Um, because some people might not be directly in their right minds during the time, and they're looking for an out, or some people might want to throw certain things like mattresses or whatever it is directly into the roadways because it's a game, or they think that it's fun, um, and not looking at the totality of the event, of which where people can inevitably have their lives taken. Crashes can start. You can have car pileups, and a variety of other things can just so happen to um, take place. Again, this is why I happen to tell people that when you're driving, not saying that this was the thing that necessarily took place with the woman here, but make sure to keep your eyes directly forward, so that you could potentially see what's going on, what's happening. Another thing that needs to get implemented is that at a lot of these overpasses, they just need to start installing city cameras. They need to start installing a lot of these things so that acts like this can be caught. I know that it would more than likely cost a lot of money in order to do it. But yeah, it's something that needs to realistically be done. I know a lot of people would probably disagree, and that would, in a sense, be, a little bit of the start of a um, Overwatch when it comes to the city. Who watches the Watchmen, type of scenario. But at the end of the day, what can you realistically do when you have individuals like this that decide that they want to cause somebody some immediate harm, where they have a disregard for human life? And these are the actions that they decide that they want to commit to as a group. Like I said, regardless of whoever threw the rock, all of them needs to get thrown directly in prison for life. That's it. Because the family, they're not going to see their daughter again. They're not going to see, their friend, their best friend, or whoever again. They're not going to be able to celebrate birthdays, Thanksgiving, holidays, New Year's, none of that. So the exact same way that that family has to suffer because of their actions, their family should also have to suffer because of their actions as well. That's all I'm saying. Or some people say an eye for an eye, for in a sense, right? Um, like I said, the main thing that I can just so happen to tell people, you just got to be careful. You got to keep your wits about you. You got to pay very close attention, and stay safe out there when you're driving. Something else I thought of before I wanted to finish the video, they need to start implementing harsher sentencing and laws for people like this who decide that they want to harm other people by way of throwing rocks, boulders, cylinders, whatever it is, onto the roadways, which inevitably will cause fatalities, crashes, and different things of that nature. There needs to be very, very, very harsh penalties so that when this happens, and it more than likely is going to happen again. Again, I'm not wishing this. It's more than likely going to happen again because you have people that like to copycat. Those people will be made to be an example for everybody else. So if that means that you got to give them like 100 or 200 years, so be it. You got to throw the book directly at them, so be it. If that means that money for let's say medical bills or insurance or funeral costs has to be pulled directly from, that family who caused the accident, so be it. The moment in time that people who are connected to such individual are made to be at fault for the individual's decision, the moment in time that that is a thing, that's when you're going to start to see a lot of things shifting in America. You're going to start to see a lot of these crimes starting to shift because it's not only them that's going to be accountable, but it's also going to be their families as well.